Hello, it's Dominic from Pool Builders Limited in Ottawa, Ontario. Today we'll be talking about how to add salt to your pool and how to adjust your chlorine levels. Now, you only want to add salt to the pool when the salt cell is telling you that you've got low salt with this red light. Now, you don't want to rely on the parts per million reading, but mostly on the salt cell. So if the cell is telling you you've got low salt, you can go ahead to step 1, which is to turn off the chlorinator. So you do this on the Easy Touch panel under Settings of IntelliChlor. Once you're in the IntelliChlor menu, you just go to Enable and then bring that up to No, lock it in, and go back to the main menu. Now, before you add the salt, you want to make sure that on the salt cell, none of the percentage lights are lit just like this, and that the pump is also running and you've got flow. Okay, so the next step is to figure out how much salt we need and go ahead and add those bags into the pool. So to figure out the amount of salt we need, this is the equation we use. So 3,200 parts per million is the ideal level. We subtract that from the current salt level in the pool. Now, to figure out what your current level is, you either use the chemistry report that you've gotten from a water testing store, or you can also use the diagnostic menu in the Easy Touch panel. So the difference of this equation will let you know how many parts per million you need to go up. Now, each pool is different. A 20 kilogram bag of salt won't bring up the parts per million the same amount on different size pools. So if you don't already know what this magic number is for your pool, what you'll need to do is use the chart at the back of the salt bag. So you compare the amount of liters of water in your pool versus the amount of parts per million you need to go up, and the chart will let you know how many bags you need to add. So once we know how many salt bags we need, we can go ahead and add them to the pool. So quite straightforward, just cut the bottom and pour them in. You don't want to let the salt rest or sit on the liner too long because it could fade the vinyl. So simply grab the vinyl brush with the pole and stir the salt around until there's no more clumps left. Now, the salt cell will probably read still low salt or even high salt at this moment, so it takes a full 3 days before the salt is evenly distributed and fully dissolved throughout the whole volume of water. So once we've allowed enough time for the salt to properly dissolve and that you have a solid green light where it says salt level on the salt cell, we can go ahead and reactivate the chlorinator. So to do so, once again, just go into Settings, Chlorinator, and then go to Enable Yes, lock that in, and go back to your main menu. Okay, so once we have the right salt level, we can go ahead and adjust our chlorine levels. So when you test your pool water on the test strip, if the chlorine is high or low, you would actually adjust that on the Easy Touch, once again in the setting menu under IntelliChlor. So the percentages that you'll see whenever you go to a higher percentage or a lower percentage, you're adjusting the amount of time that the salt cell is running for. So if it's running for a longer amount of time, you're producing more chlorine, and the reverse when it's running at a low percentage. So when you see flashing lights on the salt cell, this is when you're chlorinating at increments less than 10%. So here, all lights flashing is 10% and not 100%. Now, whenever you have a solid light, that's when it's actually chlorinating at what's written on the cell. So here it's between 10 and 20. Now it's between 20 and 40. And then when you have the 3, it would be between 40 and 60%. Now, depending on the size of your pool, your coasting level where you leave it most of the time might be at 50%, or it might be at 20 if you have a very small pool. So if ever your chlorine levels are extremely low, you can also superchlorinate the pool, which is essentially shocking it. So the salt cell will be running at 100%, and this is an automated process. So on the second page of the IntelliChlor settings menu, you would just turn Superchlor to on, and you can actually adjust the standard run time of 24 hours. So when it's running, the pump will work in sync with the superchlorinate, and whenever it expires, everything will go back to what it was before. So when you're in superchlorinate mode or 100%, all 5 lights are lit up. This concludes our video on how to add salt and adjust your chlorine levels. We hope this was helpful.